Hey class, this is your lesson while I'm absent on Monday. We're going over 5.6. This is just part one. We'll go over part two tomorrow, but you're just doing part one today. So throughout this video, I'm going to ask you to pause and do something potentially. Of course, you get to decide if you pause or not. For instance, I want you to pause right here so you can do the bell work, and then I'll go over it with you. All right, hopefully at least two of you paused right there. I don't know if you did or not, but I'm assuming you did. Now let's go over the bell work. So we went over dividing fractions last week. We do keep, change, reciprocal. Keep, change, flip. I like to call it keep, change, reciprocal. You guys know that. So we're going to keep 8 over 11 the same. We're going to change this to multiplication, and we're going to flip these two. So we get 8 over 11 times 40 over 33. That is inconvenient because before it would have simplified real nice, and now it's not going to simplify so nice. So there's nothing between 8 and 33. There's nothing between 33 and 11, so we just got to multiply. We get 8 times 40. That's a big number. That's going to be 320. And 11 times 33, that's also a big number. We get, I got to use my calculator, 363. Now we got to think, is there any number that goes into both 320 and 363? That's a tough one. As a matter of fact, you can divide these both by... Actually, no, I don't think you can do anything. I think that's as simple as it gets. My bad. So, there you go. 320 over 363. Very weird fraction. All right, down here, same thing. Keep, change, flip. Now, we know 15 is a whole number, but it could be over 1 if we wanted it to be. And then if we were to keep, change, flip, it would be 3 over 13 times 1 over 15. We can simplify this one. That 3 can become a 1. That 15 becomes a 5. 1 times 1 on the top is 1. 13 times 5 on the bottom is 65. My bad. Forgot for a second there. And there you go. There's our bell work. So again, hopefully you paused. You did that yourself. If not, well, then you cheated, and that's too bad. As we go through this lesson, just follow along in your journal. Do the bell work in your journal, do the examples in your journal, do the problems in your journal, all that good stuff. Looking over at our agenda, we're not going to be able to review the quiz today. We'll review the quiz tomorrow. We'll go over unit outline. Again, we're doing part one. There's a booklet in here, and there's a quiz in here as well that you can do on your own whenever you want. All right, looking at our calendar, you do have homework tonight. It is not due until Wednesday, which is good. So do not feel like you have to do it tonight, although I would suggest you do it tonight so that you don't have homework tomorrow night when you could be studying for that test. That's just my suggestion. I would do it tonight. You can definitely do it tonight if you wanted to. I would suggest you do it tonight, but if you want to do it tomorrow night, you can do that too. You have your test review on Wednesday, so that will be probably a Jeopardy, and then we also have our test on Wednesday. Thursday, obviously no class. Then we get into our midterm. So we'll start doing our midterm review. I'll give you guys a study guide, and you're going to go through that on your own. The lesson today is solving equations with fractions. We can do one-step and two-step equations with fractions. In your notes, you actually already have this, so you do not need to include this in your journal. You do not need to take notes on this. This definition should already be in your journal. We actually did this last week. We went over dividing fractions. We learned that a reciprocal is when you take the inverse of a number, and when you multiply them, it becomes 1. So, for instance, you should remember that 7 over 2 is the reciprocal, and we know that because when you multiply, and this all cancels out, and it becomes 1. Over here, we got negative 8 over 5 would cancel out as 1. 5 over 1 times 1 over 5 would be 1. 0.1 would be 1/10, and you multiply that by 10 over 1, and it equals 1. So all of these are the reciprocals. Negative 8 over 5, 10 over 1, 1 over 5, and 7 over 2. Those are reciprocals. Now, if you want to practice reciprocals, this is where you could pause again, and you can go do this booklet. The booklet should be in your RenWeb assignment for this whole day where you got this video link from. You can go find the link for the booklet and do that now. Don't spend too much time on it. Come back to this video so that you can finish this whole thing during class. But if you want to practice reciprocals, you can do this booklet whenever you want. And you guys can keep that booklet to study for the test on Wednesday. All right. Well, again, hopefully at least a few of you paused and did that booklet. Again, you can also do it later if you want. Now, as I said up here, I said that we're doing one-step equations. So as a quick review of one-step equations, let's do a couple of them. One-step equations, super easy. We did that at the beginning of the year. We learned that we're trying to get the y alone. And to do that, we have to eliminate this. So for instance, with that plus 8, we have to do the opposite of plus 8. What's the opposite of plus 8? Subtract 8. And we also learned that whatever you do to one side, you always do to the other. We get y equals 6. What we did is we did 8 minus 8, which is 0, which means the y is now alone. Same thing over here. X is being subtracted by 4, so the opposite of that would be to add 4. What you do to one side, you do to the other. X equals negative 4. What do we do? Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. That gets the x alone. Let's go down here. 2x. 2 is being multiplied by x, so we do the opposite. We divide by 2. What we do to one side, we do to the other. And x equals 6. 12 divided by 2 is 6. What did we actually do? We did 2 divided by 2, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. Now, there is a 1 in front of that x now, but do we have to include it? No. So we'll go ahead and get rid of it. The x is alone. We're good to go. And finally, y divided by 4. We multiply by 4. Eliminates, multiply by 4. You get y equals, what's that going to be? 64. And again, we're just getting the y alone. So, looking at these two problems, this is what we know how to do already. This is what we're about to learn how to do. It's the same idea. You're still trying to get the x alone over here, and to do that, you want to make this number become 1, just like how we're going to make this 4 become 1 by dividing by 4. We divide by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. X is alone, negative 3. Over here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make this 4 over 7 1. But how do we make 4 over 7 into 1? Well, hopefully you put 2 and 2 together, and you're thinking, well, wait a second. If you multiply by a reciprocal, it equals 1. So we're going to do exactly that. We're going to multiply by 4 over 7's reciprocal, and that will make it 1. That would be 7 over 4. When we do that, it all cancels out, right? That cancels that. That cancels that. X is alone. Technically, there's a 1 right there. Do we need to include the 1? No. And of course, what you do to one side, you're going to do to the other. So now we're going to multiply this side by 7 over 4. We can simplify before we multiply. The 4 becomes a 1. The 12 becomes a 3. On the top, you got 3 times 7 is 21. On the bottom, you got 1 times 1 is 1. So really, it's just negative 21. So it's the same idea. You're trying to get rid of this number attached to the x. And to do that, you make it 1. So to get rid of a fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal. All right. Again, this is where I suggest you pause and go ahead and complete these first two. Pause and complete these first two. All right. Hopefully some of you paused. I'll go ahead and go over them with you. We're going to multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 5 over 6 is 6 over 5. That cancels all out. M is alone, and what we do on one side, we do to the other. We can simplify here. Get that to be 1. Get that to be 4. And all you've got really is 4 times 6, and that is 24. All right, let's do another one. 4 over 9. The reciprocal is 9 over 4. That cancels that. That cancels that. X is alone. Multiply on the other side. Cancel that, and that becomes 4. You get negative 4 times 9 is negative 36. Okay, so far so good. These were both one step, which is what we did in the example up here. It was a one-step problem. But as we saw way back up here with what you should be able to do today, not just one step, but also two-step. Now, two-step problem isn't anything new either. We've done two-step problems a million times before. You've done it this year, the year before that. Two-step problems, easy peasy. We won't start by doing the reciprocal. First, we got to get rid of the subtraction of 20. So we're going to go ahead and add 20 to both sides because we're trying to get rid of it. Negative 20 plus 20 is 0, so it's gone now. You're left with 3/4 n equals negative 16 plus 20 is 4. Now it's a one-step equation, right? This looks exactly like this up here. It's just that we had a little step at the beginning we had to take care of. So again, multiply by the reciprocal. That's going to cancel that. That's going to cancel that. I'm going to go over here. And then what you do to one side, you do the other. So we have 4 over 3. Unfortunately, we can't do any eliminating. These do not have any common factors, and 4 and 1's only common factor is 1. So we get 16 over 3. And would that be our final answer on a quiz? No, it's not simplified. We got to change it into a mixed number. So how many times does 3 go into 16? I believe it goes in 5 times. 3 times 5 is 15. That means there's 1 left over, right? Oops. 16 minus 15 is 1. Okay, last one here. We're almost done. I'm going to go ahead and ask you again. Go ahead and pause and try to solve this one. All right, you're back from your pause. At least I'm assuming you did. What we have to do is add 16 to both sides, right? We're trying to get rid of that part first. To get rid of a negative 16, you add 16 because negative 16 plus 16 is 0. You get 1 over 4x equals negative 8 plus 16 is positive 8. We do the reciprocal. We do the reciprocal over here. We get x equals 8 times 4 is 32. All right, we did it. Both one-step problems right here and two-step problems right here. Go ahead and, well, I guess not pause because the video is going to end and you can go ahead and do this quizzes. After you're done with the quizzes, you can start your homework. Again, the quizzes link is where you got the link for this video, where you got the link for the booklet. So after you're done with the quizzes, you can go ahead and start your homework. And then if you finish your homework early, just kind of treat the rest of the time as a study hall. Please do not burden whoever the sub-teacher is by talking across the classroom when you're done. That's not the point of this time. You should have gotten through this video, hopefully through the booklet, through the quizzes, and through the homework. If you did all of that, that should have taken probably most of class. So good job, guys. I will see you tomorrow, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.